Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Relic Arena. In this specific video, I wanted to go through one of my own games where I decided to play some Lincoln and, where I also showcase some of the builds that I currently really like. Don't mind the Marie Curie that shows up here, that's just how the replay system works currently. Where it showcases the first person in the lobby, which was Optimistic. A very, very strong player as well, but I'm going to be highlighting it from my perspective for the moment. And, well, at the beginning of the match here, we of course get a selection of heroes. Now, typically I do like Assassin a lot. It has pretty high base damage with relatively high base HP as well, so it gives you a nice chance to kind of win early on. And we get a nice selection of items here as well. Mason Chain, very, very lovely. Part of one of my main builds right now on Assassin, and well, many people's main build on Assassin. Very, very good with boots. You get a massive AoE effect. You gain Unstoppable, and yeah, just generally powerful early on. And then we have Cursed Visage, which I honestly don't play enough of, I would say. Not an item I see too often, but it does rather well. Cursing an enemy, dealing 50% damage per second, and also stealing stats, which is relatively useful early on, so we managed to get that victory. Now, on Lincoln, as many of you may know, but just in case, you know, we have some people watching here that don't know what our leader does, he gives a chance of upgrading some relics for free at the start of the round, and upgrading your leader will kind of up your chances, as well as give you, a small chance of upgrading multiple relics at once. And, well, typically here the strat for me is going to be to get to shop level 3. After that, level 4 and 5 tends to be a bit too expensive for me, and I feel like I can get better consistency by just re-rolling the shop. In terms of the shop here, I'm also going to try and get to shop level 2, get that extra slot, but, you know, don't put those ultimate relics into the pool to make sure that, we have a higher chance of actually finding all of the relics that we want. Now, I decided to add Viking Vanguard and Kevlar Vest to my hero here on this round. We're doing very well. Kevlar Vest, fantastic item. Very, very good early on, but just generally speaking, something that I love having. And yeah, I'm also going to go for the Viking Vanguard because I wanted to go for a tank at some point, and I really like this item to try and taunt enemy assassins from getting into your backline. Keep in mind, I will be picking up the conga drums here, so this is going to be part of one of the builds I'm going to be going for. And, I was highlighting some of the things that I wanted here. A classic build on Assassin that does really well right now involves Napoleon's Boots, which deal damage in an area, and it's based off of your attack damage. And, well, with conga drums, you can get bonus attack damage based off of your movement speed boost, which conga drums also helps with. But there's a ton of items you can get to boost your movement speed, and it just really helps not only, you know, get around with the boots, dealing more AoE to more enemy units, but also boosting, you know, the attack damage, which really helps out the Napoleon's Boots once you get your hands on that. So here, still not going to level up the shop too much. I am going to keep 1 gold in the bank to make sure that either one of them gets cheaper. Ideally, I will level up my leader first. I happen to lose here. Reason for that is just to up the chances, right? I get 1 more round to try and upgrade relics. And yeah, the shop is going to follow very soon after. Round number 3, we get a selection of another hero that we can add to our board. And at this point, the items that I was holding to me seemed like would be best used on something like a caster, but maybe it should also be an assassin again. Assassin tends to have, you know, again, very good base stats, and as long as it has enough mana to cast the items that you currently have, it's not too bad. Now, what I can see in the shop, though, is this goblet right here, which I kind of like as well, because that too can boost attack damage and again really help out with the assassin that is eventually going to be carrying the boots. So perhaps caster here, the best thing for me. I already have a Shroud of Turin as well, so conga drums for that attack speed and movement speed. Mainly the movement speed being the important thing there. Shroud of Turin granting toughness, so making the unit more difficult to kill, and also healing. And then I'm gonna pick up the Hope Diamond as well. Looks like I skipped the goblet there. Slight mistake, I think, on my end. Definitely should have picked that up. It is a very nice item, but it doesn't seem to matter too much. You can see that already here, our Cursed Visage has really started to level up rather quickly. I have had a couple of presidential promotions, and yeah, Cursed Visage level 4 already. I wasn't entirely sure whether I wanted to keep it, but now that I have the levels on it, I felt like it might be a good idea to, well, you know, keep that around. It is very good on multiple units. In fact, you know, it is being highlighted as being good on any type of units. So definitely worth keeping. And I'm also going to start picking up some Ranger relics here. So I'm picking up the top hat. Top hat's good on a caster. Flings a top hat at an enemy that bounces, dealing a % of your attack power plus a flat amount of damage, and then bounces onto another enemy. Just good on caster here for the time being, and eventually my plan was to move Kevlar Vest and top hat together with a couple of other relics onto a ranger in the back that would sit safely and have really high upfront damage. Low attack speed, but when it fires, it hits really, really heavily. Here we can see we're doing relatively okay, and the hat there actually clutching up. You look at the damage stats for a little bit here. Both of my units doing rather well, and in fact the caster already with the top hat dealing 1,000 damage, managing to get a win. And currently this seems to be the way to play the game, where if you manage to do well early on by making sure you buy enough relics, by not, you know, leveling up your shop too much, and especially when you have someone like Lincoln to help you out with relic levels, it helps a ton. There's no comeback mechanic in this game, so winning early, you know, lets you preserve hit points, makes it easier for you to get into the late game and, you know, close things out. Here we do see again the Holy Grail, the Goblet, show up, which buffs an ally with 70 health and 70 mana regen. But if we look at the super upgrades, it can also grant attack and relic lifesteal, which is fantastic for the boots upgrade or the boots build that we are currently targeting. I haven't seen them, but it is a very contested item, super popular, and I do kind of expect it to get nerfed at some point, but for the time being, exceptionally powerful. And yeah, we already have the Conga drums upgrade as well, and this is what you need: level 3 Conga drums to get that super, gain attack damage equal to your move speed during the buff. So we already have it. It's not going to help too much right now, as none of these items scale off of attack damage, but it's nice to have, and sometimes finding that level 3 Conga drum can be a little bit tricky. Another Holy Grail shows up. Happy to keep that right now, and we unlock our third hero, our Ranger. So gonna be rather happy here to grab that. I also have the pirate flag, and now I'm starting to get almost all items for, you know, the build that I was going to go for on my AD carry. I like running pirate flag. The next attack is a 210% critical strike, and it stuns. With the top hat, kind of the same thing here. Skills off of casters attack damage, so that is lovely. And then I'll be going for something like Kevlar Vest, just, you know, to, well, protect my backliner, which also happens to give attack damage when it triggers, so that's very nice. And then we're often going to pair that with something like either Scepter of Agamemnon to gain physical lifesteal and attack damage, or something like the Monkey's Paw. The tricky bit here is that the boots that I talked about earlier also scale off of attack damage, so I'll have to see how I want to distribute those attack damage items, because my Ranger likes it, but if I manage to find the boots, you know, the Assassin would be pretty happy to have that as well. Extremely close right now, but maybe we can manage to win this. I don't have a ton of lifesteal, but it's just enough here with the items that I currently have to inch out a win, and we are very, very happy about the state of the game right now. We can see some people already dropping down to sub 150. I'm still at 191, and yeah, things are going great so far. Picking up all of the upgrades here that I can. Here we get the Monkey's Paw. I did talk about that item, granting the attack damage. For the time being, that is going to sit on my Ranger, and I think at this point I probably would like to move the Kevlar down, which is what I'm going to be doing, as I have a lot of items for this build, and I'm currently still seeking for the items on the Assassin. I was trying to have a quick look at whether or not I could use a tank as my frontliner, but these items cost too much mana for a tank to cast, so I'm switching it back to an Assassin, which is going to be the second most tankiest option after the tank. And yeah, I'm currently still kind of bouncing in between my tank build, which I will likely run Cursed Visage and Viking Vanguard on, and I want the Assassin build with the boots, but I haven't found the boots yet, but do have the Conga drums. So I kind of have two builds right now that are complete. between my ranger and my caster. Then I'm kind of juggling items here on the assassin that will, you know, be split eventually between my tank and my assassin. Getting some lovely upgrades here as we get that white firework to go off, upgrading 2 random relics, 8 upgrades already. Fantastic at this stage of the game. And yeah, just picking up the upgrades wherever possible. I think for some of these items, you might not need the upgrades as much, but getting the level 3 Viking Vanguard is always great. And finally, we managed to find Napoleon's boots in the shop. As we can see, it was rather contested. If you look next to the Napoleon's boots tag, the pool says there's only 8 left out of 18. So yeah, very, very contested. Lots of other people were playing it. But, you know, you don't need a ton of them. Level 3 is kind of nice because that gives you, again, more movement speed. And, well, as I mentioned earlier, that scales very nicely off of conga drums. And we will be seeing later how powerful that can be. For the time being, I'm using the conga drums buff onto my ranger since, well, we didn't have the other combo yet. So it made more sense to try and buff the unit that's doing the most damage. And I mean, look at that one shot. If we just have a look at the damage briefly. Top hat, Kevlar vest, and the pirate flag, right? Buffing our next attack, just doing so much work. It's not enough to win here, as this Nikola Tesla is actually rather strong, but not too much to worry about. Another firework goes off there, upgrading our monkey paw, and we get our final hero to choose from. Now at this point, I kind of wanted a tank, and we have all of our heroes. So this is going to be a build where I will just have one of each. One tank, one assassin, one caster, one ranger. But I now finally have the items available to actually yeah, switch everything up. So assassin for the time being, going to have mace and chain, Napoleon's boots, scepter of Agamemnon, and going to be boosted by the conga drums. Make sure to move this caster in the correct position so that the conga drums actually do target it. And then the tank is going to have the Viking Vanguard and the Cursed Visage, as 2 of them show up at the same time in the shop. Relatively rare, but again, not a super contested item. Still 15 in the pool, as someone seems to have sold it. So it might be very easy for me to get the level 9 on this. And, you know, any juicy early on tends to help out a ton. Opponent here going for a very similar build, as we can see, right? Mason chain, Napoleon's boots, and using the toilets on the Clio. Likely will be a loss here again, but that can kind of happen. They just have a few more of, you know, the assassin pieces than we have. And here on round number 10, I pick up both of the Cursed Visages, so we only need 2 more for the Juicy, which is early, considering it's only round 10. And yeah, here I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to go for. So I went for the -7 second cooldown as my first. And then I decided to go for the 3rd super as well, where the damage is changed to pure. And it heals you for the damage dealt, hoping that this would make my tank survive a bit longer, buy time for my backliner to get maybe multiple procs off on these relics. And yeah, really start to dish out a ton of damage. Typically with this assassin build, I would love to have something like the Sutton Hoo helmet, but it is a very, very contested item, and I just couldn't seem to find any. The reason I want this is because at level 3, you can go for the super that makes it casts instantly, where the cast time goes down to 0, and again, you gain move speed, which helps out with the attack damage buff. But if it's hard to find, something like a Persian carpet definitely works as well. And so having 2 in my shop here, I decided to lock the shop and make sure I can grab those. I'm also keeping 2 gold in the bank here. Not ideal because I'm not looking to level up the shop, but at least my leader becomes a little bit cheaper. So down the line, perhaps we'll be able to get to leader level 4 if it becomes, you know, a little bit more affordable. For the time being, having this on level 3 is perfectly fine. Another Cursed Visage shows up, so now we are only 1 off from that Juicy, and I decided to pick up Hammurabi's Code as well, as it is offered to me, and I felt like, well, maybe I want to have that as an item down the line on this tank. Thing is, on Lincoln, it is honestly a good strat to try kind of focus on 2 carries and not have too many other low-level relics sitting around, because they might eat some of the fireworks and some of the free upgrades, even though you don't benefit much from a low-level relic like this, right? Hammurabi's Code is great, but at level 1, it's not going to contribute as much as, you know, getting maybe closer to that juicy on one of your carries, right? Even a boots upgrade here would mean a lot more than getting a level 2 Hammurabi code. A little thing you can do, by the way, during these fights is sell your relic during the fight, and it won't affect the outcome. In Relic Arena, the outcome of a battle is already decided, calculated, you know, before or at the start of the auto battle phase. And what you're looking at really is just a replay of that result. So selling a relic will mean that you do get the discount on your shop and your leader, but it won't affect whether you win or lose. So if you have a relic that you don't really need and you really want that discount, you can sell it mid-fight because the game will have registered at the start that you had it and won't adapt accordingly during the fight. Here, nothing too special. I was thinking about maybe Viking Runestone, but to be honest, there's only 7 in the pool, so yeah, not amazing. Mirror of Archimedes, not a bad thing either, reflecting the first instance of damage back to enemies and stunning them. It's a good item on tanks, but I was thinking to myself, I probably should just try and get more upgrades on these things here. So I decided to roll and yeah, try and get more chances at finding the things I need. At this stage, we can start seeing how much those boots are doing with that move speed, right? My assassin moving into the backline there and really starting to crush it with almost 2,000 damage done, but still, my ranger, right, with this build, doing a boatload of damage, and we are starting to get lovely upgrades on this as well. With the top hat being level 6, right, 80% bonus damage, silencing and dealing 100 damage per second for 2 seconds. We have the pirate flag as well, plus 70% critical strike to the first attack. So yeah, this build right now is definitely slamming. And round number 13, I do find another Persian carpet here in the store, and I think to myself, well, maybe I do want to grab that and yeah, get that super. Divine Diadem, also not bad at all, and we finally get a Sutton Hoo helmet, but at this point I was like, well, not entirely sure if I really want to pick this up, because unless I manage to get this to level 3, it's not going to do a ton for me, and I'm pretty happy with the build for the time being, so I might just really want to prioritize the rerolls and start getting, you know, these level 5, level 6 relics, potentially up to close to a juicy at the very least. Assassin here goes into the backline, trying its best, not quite managing to do enough damage there to the ranger as it heals up for a ton. Thankfully, my ranger manages to survive for quite a while, but doesn't really look like I'll manage to win this. Good damage nonetheless, but yeah, you can't win them all. Some people will hit their power spikes every now and then, and this is why, you know, winning that early game is so nice, because it gives you this little bit of breathing room to, you know, lose to people that happen to be strong, because that is going to happen in your games. Persian carpet level up, I decided to go for the silence on it with the super, so when it lands, enemies are silenced, unable to use their relics for 2 seconds, which pretty powerful effect. We get another pirate flag offered here, and I'm thinking to myself, do I want to lock this shop or not? Because I have 2 gold left. I think to myself, I mean, it is pretty important to get this. You know, my ranger has been doing a lot of work so far. If we look at this, honestly, the cursed visage though, going crazy right now. But yeah, we did manage to get that juicy not too long ago. Now we gain the bonus for every type of stat that you gain. So it basically steals from one enemy, and then you gain either attack damage, attack speed, tank barrier, or relic power, depending on what type of hero you stole from. But now at level 9, that is no longer the case, and we get all bonuses, which is a big difference. Holy Grail upgrade here, lovely stuff. Again, you have the relic power on this. You kind of don't need this relic to be level 9. Level 6 is plenty, as you get the attack and the relic lifesteal, and then here as well you gain a relic power to allies with consecration, which just helps a ton, right? Trying to make your assassin a lot stronger. We also managed to get the Scepter of Agamemnon. At this point, I decide to swap the Monkey Paw and the Scepter of Agamemnon between my assassin and my ranger, as I managed to get a level 6 Monkey Paw, and the attack damage here, right, going to Napoleon's boots, I thought would make a big difference, so that's why I went for that. And also thought, well, my ranger already has a massive boost of damage anyway with these relics, so I'm not entirely sure how much that Monkey Paw, you know, is gonna do. Plus, lifesteal on a ranger isn't a bad stat whatsoever, allowing it to survive a little bit longer. And this just gives me so much upfront burst that it should be very, very nice. Close fight here. Lots of low hit point enemies, but the ranger not quite able to finish them off. The Tesla coils on Cleo going crazy. And here we managed to find the Mace and Chain level 3, and I love to go for that radius on the Whirlwind. That, yeah, that's definitely gonna help a ton in terms of AoE, and this is pretty much the build complete. Again, the Persian Carpet is not mandatory. You could throw, usually Sutton Hoo, for me, at level 3 works just fine. You could try F1 Rocket as well, but you would have to level up the shop, which makes it harder to find upgrades for the other standard relics. And yeah, I mean, typically I love running these 3. And then, yeah, the fourth slot is kind of available for something that either grants Unstoppable, gives you more move speed, or, yeah, could even be a defensive thing too, with the Seatbelt, for instance, which also happens to be able to give you move speed. It was banned in this game, but if you get this to level 3, you can go for Safety Lock, block a targeted relic directed at the wielder, and gain 30 move speed upon successful blocking. And again, if you have Conga drums, that's gonna add up in terms of damage. And just look at the AoE here, going crazy. F1 Rocket does go off very close, as the Tesla coils again are doing some crazy work. But yeah, I mean, look at that, right? Ranger and Assassin here working together to do amazing amounts of damage. And to be honest, my caster and my tank are not too far behind either. At this point, again, right, I am still maybe trying to fill 2 slots on my tank, but if I have to be completely transparent, it's not something that I care about too much. As I mentioned before, it's better to make sure that you get, you know, the relics that are actually being used and that are high level to level 9 to get that juicy than to try and fill empty slots with low level relics most of the time. So here I decided that I'm going to sell that Viking runestone. I actually don't need it. Allows me to get some more rolls in, and here I find Holy Grail in the shop, which I'm going to lock because that is getting close to level 9. Now keep in mind, I don't need this to be level 9. It's kind of unnecessary on Holy Grail in my opinion, but I mean, you know, are you gonna turn it down? Probably not. Again, backline assassin just doing insane work as we easily get through this Marie. Get another upgrade as well. Scepter here being upgraded. And at this point, I'm picking up pretty much any of the relics that are offered to me because they're all useful. A lot of them are high level. And if I can get them juicy, I mean, you know, who am I to say no to that? At this stage, not too much going on, so I think I could probably start speeding up the strategy process a little bit. It's mostly gonna be about just buying the relics that I set up. And yeah, I guess I could have a brief look at what other people are doing, but we can see a lot of boot builds with Mason Chain, with Monkey Paw. This player in particular has a second assassin as well, kind of more attack speed based with Blade of Ramses and a grass cutting sword to get into the back line. If you go back to my board, you can have a look at how things are going. Snakes, very, very scary. And in this particular match, it seems like I wasn't able to get AoE on top of them to be able to take them down. And so the damage goes really insane with the snakes from Cleo dealing almost 4k damage and taking down all of my units. I finally managed to get the Hope Diamond up to level 3. I haven't really talked too much about this relic, but it is extremely powerful in my opinion. And what it doesn't say is that this triggers whenever an ally within range gets to 50% hit points. So it doesn't go off immediately. It actually saves a ally from dying. And then especially if you get to level 3, you can get the 700 radius heal effect when it gets triggered, which, I mean, it just makes your army so much more resilient. So whenever I go for this type of buffing, healing caster build, I love trying to pick up the Hope Diamond. It has done very, very well for me. A couple of juicies being picked up now as we see level 9 Bear Trap, level 9 Porcelain Throne. We see a Plague Doctor Cane as well, as Marie kind of managing to find a lot of good juicies here. If we go back again to my side of the board, you can have a look at who we're facing. I am trying to move around my units a little bit, mainly trying to make sure that my assassin can go to whatever side of the board has more units. Of course, scouting, you know, you never know exactly who you're gonna be up against, but, you know, trying to see like, oh, this is where the enemies are there any grass cutting swords trying to get into my backline? If yes, do I want to put a tank in front of that with the taunt, because that can stop it from going in? And yeah, where do I want my AoE assassin, you know, to be traveling, right? Are most of the enemies going to be over here or over here? Shroud of Turin level up, by the way. We do manage to get that. Grants physical damage immunity during the buff. I mean, this assassin is going to be hard to kill for sure. And in the meantime, we also managed to get Scepter of Agamemnon up to level 9. So we now have a lot of attack boost between the Monkey Paw and that Scepter of Agamemnon at level 9. I decided to both put these on my assassin instead of having them on my ranger, because I felt like, yeah, both of these buffing Napoleon's boots should do a lot of work. And the thing is that Scepter of Agamemnon at level 9, after dealing 500 damage, launches the caster towards an enemy, and I don't really want that to happen with my backline carry. So I felt like that was going to be best used on my assassin. Snake kind of going crazy here though, and will I be able to take down this last hero? Looks like I will be able to. Kind of scary. Snake here on 1 hit point, but dealing massive amounts of damage. Thankfully my caster and my tank were still there to finish the job. And here, I'm not looking for too many things again. I was really debating whether I wanted Viking Runestone or not, but as we can see, the pool for this item, not fantastic. Only 7 out of 18, so I probably don't want that. Divine Diadem, however, interesting for sure. Just having a little bit more crit, a little bit more lifesteal on the relics should help out a ton, and so I definitely do want that on my ranger. Happy to pick that up. We managed to get another juicy there on, I believe, the Conga drums, which will now affect all allies. So it doesn't really matter anymore where this buff goes. Although, of course, for the Holy Grail and the Shroud of Turin, I still do want to be targeting my ally. And yeah, at this point, just kind of trying to make sure that my ranger is safe. So I knew that there was a grass cutting sword on this side, and you can see that it gets taunted. That way my ranger doesn't immediately get targeted. Not entirely sure though if that is necessary, because to be honest, this is relatively hard to kill at this stage. I do have a Kevlar vest, which, you know, helps me against assassins anyway. And yeah, this is where Abraham Lincoln starts to really pop off. I did manage to get level 4 a couple of rounds back, and yeah, 21 relic upgrades already. Yeah, this is what your board can start to look like. And we just have juicy relics everywhere at this point. We do manage to get that Holy Grail. Really cool juicy effect. Gives the selected unit a death rattle, which basically spawns a clone after it dies. And that clone is also able to cast their relics. So can be relatively powerful, but the clone doesn't count as an actual hero. So you do need to have another hero on the board still alive for, you know, this death rattle to do its thing. Otherwise, you will still lose the round. And yeah, the death rattle won't end up doing too much extra damage. Divine Diadem upgrades here. I decided to go for the 25% lifesteal, although I do think that the first instance of relic damage is guaranteed to crit is quite useful, considering the top hat here would be dealing a lot more damage, and especially it bouncing around between different targets might make the difference. You can see here though that death rattle doing a decent job of cleaning up, and my ranger, after getting out of the bunker, managing to close out the round. Very, very close yet again against Cleo, but happy about how things are going so far. I have 79 hit points to my name, And, I mean, we're doing very, very well for ourselves. Divine Diadem showing up here, not really too heavily contested. Although, at this point, only 5 in the pool left. But I think I should be able to get this to level 6 at the very least. And then I can grab that first instance of relic damage being a crit. And yeah, at this point, I mean, nothing too insane going on. I only have 2 Cleos left as my opponents. And now scouting does become kind of important. So what I was trying to look at is this assassin right here with the grass cutting sword getting onto my carry. As I mentioned, though, the rest of the items not highly damage focused. So yeah, wasn't too afraid of that. Mirror of Archimedes can be a little bit scary for my one-shot build, if I'm being honest, because if this gets reflected onto my carry, yeah, it might end up killing itself. So I do have to be a little bit careful about that. Ranger, though, doing great damage. I managed to take down the ghost here of Marshmallows. And if we have a look at the damage, it is the assassin currently on top. I mean, yeah, this build now being fully fledged out, double juicy on there with the Napoleon's boots. Extremely, extremely powerful. And at this point, I mean, yeah, all that I'm looking for is just more and more upgrades. I managed to get Hope Diamonds to level 6. At this point, I wasn't entirely sure which of the supers I wanted. I do like Red Diamond as well, though. Instead of healing, you leech HP from the enemies. And just generally a powerful upgrade. And at this stage, I was also just looking to make my assassin even more powerful. One way to do that is by grabbing something like a lunar reactor. If you get that to level 3, you can get 100% or 100 extra relic radius, not 100%. But that does work on things like the Napoleon's boots, like the Mason chain, making the AoE effect even bigger and making it even easier to hit multiple enemy heroes at once. Cudes here got taken out, so my opponent only at this point would be Marshmallows. And yeah, Marshmallows with a pretty decent build though, as they managed to take down my army. And I was a little bit surprised because if you compare the two builds, I mean, their build is good, but they're definitely lacking a lot of, you know, relic levels compared to me. So I felt like I should be able to win, but I wasn't entirely sure here what was going wrong. Now, if you look at the damage, my assassin was doing well, but their tank here was doing some insane amounts of damage as their juicy Viking runestone was reflecting a massive amount of damage, 6,000 to be precise. If you have a look at how that relic works, I mean, I have it myself. This relic blocks a portion of incoming damage and it reflects it as well, which is a very scary thing when, you know, I'm playing practically a very upfront one-shot damage build. My caster, you know, only hits hard, doesn't hit very often, and the same thing with my assassin, really. With all the buffs going on, these Napoleon's boots are going crazy, but the reflection damage is what is hurting me right now. And yeah, during the game, I was kind of over-focusing maybe on this assassin here, trying to make sure that my tank would taunt it, kind of preventing it from going down. I managed to get a win here, insanely close, but I do inch out a victory. Still though, Marshmallow's also down to 50 hit points, or 49 in this case, and I think the maximum damage you can deal during a round is 35, so even if I manage to get another win, it's not going to be over, and I really wasn't quite sure what I should be doing. We get another lunar reactor upgrade. At this point, though, not the most impressive. The physical armor buff is pretty nice, but I was just kind of looking for, you know, more rerolls, more levels on my relics, maybe a couple more juicies, and hoping that that would make the difference. But yeah, I wasn't entirely sure like what I should be doing to counter the enemy, you know, tank here with this level 9 Viking runestone. Opponent also looking for more level ups. As you can see, seems like they also went for a couple of their carries, and then they have one caster that has, you know, some upfront casting relics, but nothing really too insane. And I decide to change my setup to hopefully target some of the backline units, but it goes completely wrong as, you know, my assassin gets targeted by the enemy tank, jumps on top of my assassin, reflects all the damage, and it gets instantly taken out. So if we have a look here again, Viking Runestone dealing almost 6,000 damage. And yeah, I'm really in some trouble here, as I'm down to 27 hit points. One more loss would mean that I get taken out. To be honest though, I'm not too unhappy. This was a relatively stacked lobby with some very strong players, but I feel like I would be able to close this out. I just didn't understand, like, what is going wrong here. I have so many more juicies. My builds are, I mean, maybe not perfect, but I think they make a lot of sense, and they've been doing great so far. You know, what do I do to be able to win this? And yeah, I just try to position slightly differently, perhaps, you know, trying to avoid that tank, hoping that this assassin here would kind of, you know, sneak past here to the left of my tank and be able to kill, you know, the backline units, perhaps some of the snakes. But yeah, if we look at how this works, I mean, that Viking Runestone there just goes completely berserk. This was even worse than the round prior, as it's a convincing round win for Marshmallows, and they do manage to get the victory. So I take second place here. I'm not able here to look at the damage, but I think the Viking Runestone on that final round did like 9,000 damage or something. And yeah, it was rather insane. What if, though, I go into the Sandbox and try to recreate this whole scenario? Is there something that we can do positionally to have made the situation better? So I've gone ahead and set up the entire board the way that it was during that last fight, right, with my last opponent. And this is what it looked like. All of the relics in the same positions. I've tried to also make sure that all of the units, the snakes, are in the correct positions as well. And yeah, the main thing during the game is I was trying to block this assassin with the grass cutting sword from getting onto my carry. To be honest, I don't think it would have been a massive difference because I did have Kevlar, and that probably wouldn't have done anything, but that was what I was trying to do. But the main problem this game, and I noticed this far too late after the game, is that all of the damage was coming from this tank. It wasn't coming from anywhere else. It was this level 9 Viking Runestone that was reflecting so much of my upfront damage that it just one-shot all of my, you know, important units. My assassin with the boots, my carry at the back as well, which is literally a one-shot build, no attack speed. It's all about the crit, the lifesteal, you know, massive crit on the next attack, massive crit on the next relic. And yeah, I just did not play around it correctly. So what if I actually try to target this unit instead, right? As opposed to having this guy in the corner, and actually having this jump onto my carry as well, because I have that Kevlar vest available to kind of block any damage, and I have the break on the pirate flag to hopefully try and kind of mitigate the damage here on the enemy target, right? Disabling the passives, hopefully kind of stopping that damage reflection. So if we play this out and see how the battle goes, this will indeed jump in. And you can see the tank immediately gets one shot. And I mean, as long as, you know, my assassin is alive, the Kevlar vest here is triggered. Our board was a lot stronger with all of the juicies. And this was just a positioning issue on my end. I hope that this was informative. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me down in the comments below what you thought about it. Did you like the format? Do you like these little recaps? Let me know. If you want to stay up to date on latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.